Hello, and welcome to another episode of Metapsychics. I don't remember which one it is. Ha!
Wow, the ones that you use the most and you forgot them.
I don't even... What day is today? Today's...
Wednesday.
Okay, it's Wumbo Wednesday. We just got done doing a triad of ghost investigations, and we've only technically had, like...
It felt like we were there for a week.
Yeah, when you only sleep 5 hours in between going and investigating and, like, using all your brain power.
For 12 hours.
Yeah, it feels like one day is 4 days.
Yeah.
So here we are. It was a lot. But we're talking about today the haunting of Hill House. Not the, like, Netflix. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was the Hill House on Netflix, but it's very different. But now it's also, I'm very confused about it.
I don't watch scary things on the television. I've had, like, that Modro Murders thing on my Netflix, whatever, like when it just goes through thingies. Yeah. I'm so tired of that goddamn man's eyes on my TV, that freaky ass black-eyed stare.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I want to, like, tell Netflix that I hate them because I don't want that dude's face on my TV.
But we reacted to Twin Paranormal's video on the Hill House, and the reason we chose that one is because Liv looked at it and was like, let's do the Hill House instead of Goatman Bridge, because I thought we were going to do Goatman Bridge. And she was like, I know things about Goatman Bridge. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know if this is about the Hill House on Netflix, but I also don't remember if that was a real thing or if I had a fever dream while watching that.
So is it not at all, like, related to it?
The Hill House on Netflix, it's like a huge Victorian house, number one.
The internet does say that the Hill House in Texas is a Victorian mansion.
No.
I know. I'm aware, but there are sources that call it that. So.
Probably because it's on Netflix.
Maybe.
Yeah, the house on Netflix is a big Victorian mansion, and it's, like, extremely haunted. And there's, like, some weird bent neck lady on that show.
Of course, classic.
That is, like, a sleep paralysis demon.
Classic.
That ends up, spoiler, if you don't want to listen to this, it's about to happen. That ends up being her from the future coming back to haunt her because she died by hanging in the house because it's haunted. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with this place that we're talking about.
So it's kind of like season 1 of, what is that show that I watched with you in college and couldn't watch it again because it gave me, like, anxiety?
Was it The Hill House?
No.
I don't know.
That one has clowns in it.
Sorry, there's a lot that have clowns. You mean American Horror Story?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say American Psycho. No, American Horror Story. I only ever watched season 1. So it's kind of like season 1 American Horror Story-ish, where, like, they don't realize that they've already died.
Season 1.
Isn't it?
There's no clowns in season 1.
No. The season 1 is, like, where the people are living in the house, but they don't know that they're dead yet.
No, they know that they're dead.
They don't figure it out until the end, though.
No, I'm talking about in Hill House.
Oh, they do know that they're dead?
Like in Hill House on Netflix. They know that the ghosts are ghosts.
Yeah. But
no, I'm talking about this girl has sleep paralysis dreams of her future ghost self that died from hanging in the house.
Yeah.
So she knows it's a ghost because she's having a sleep paralysis dream, but she doesn't know it's her. She just thinks it's a ghost haunting her until it happens to her.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, shit, it's me.
Right? Yeah, when she's dying.
Well, yeah, but that's the same thing that happens in season 1 of the Horror Story stuff.
Not really.
She finds her body in the basement, and she's like, oh, well, crap, I've just been reliving all of this.
But she wasn't having sleep paralysis dreams of her ghost.
Well, yeah.
Very different.
She's having normal dreams of that weird guy. Anyways, that screwed with me too. I wanted to be really cool, like, friends with you, so we would, like, knit and watch that on my laptop in my room.
Yeah, I like to horrify people with the stuff I watch.
And I couldn't watch it anymore because I was having, like, heart palpitations. Anyways, we're going to talk about the real Hill House to the best of our abilities because we reacted to Twin Paranormal's YouTube extravaganza of it. And it's interesting. So, it's weird. First of all, buckle up. It's kind of a long one, but it's a good one. I couldn't find a lot of stuff on the house itself because in Twin Paranormal, the guys give a really good synopsis of, like, the things that they wanted to cover. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But where did you find this information? Because I cannot find it anywhere. I looked up.
Probably because Hill House is a popular Netflix series.
It's so annoying. I tried.
So it buries everything.
It's Netflix. Get your shit together. Get that Monroe dude off my fucking television.
Obviously, Netflix should just be making another Hill series, a Hill House series about the actual Hill House.
As long as it gets that weird dead-ass face dude on my TV off.
There's another Hill House that is a Victorian mansion.
I mean, the internet says that it is.
That's also in Texas, but in a different spot. That would be super confusing.
To sound like an asshole, we've gone to places that call themselves castles, but I don't really think that they're castles. I think they're just mansions. When I think of castle, I think like Dungeons and Dragons, escapade castles that have so many rooms that you only are on one side of it, and then the rest of it is where like all of the guests stay when the kings and queens got to bring people in for like fun times.
Okay, a castle, defined by Google, is a large building typically of the medieval period, fortified against attack with thick walls, battlements, towers, and in many cases, a moat.
Exactly. We've never gone to a castle that fits that description, and that is my internal description of a castle.
Built or fortified, according to this definition, during the medieval period.
No, because they were built in the Victorian period, which comes after the medieval period.
Would we have them in here, like on the U.S. soil? I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They just call themselves castles, but really they're mansions.
Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with you calling yourself a castle if you want to call yourself a castle, but in my book, you do you, boo. But I myself am a small bungalow of a human being, and if you want to call yourself a castle, go for it. But unless you're a beefcake wearing a suit of armor, you ain't no castle.
Okay, defining the word mansion. It's a very broad term that means a large, impressive house, or a large building divided into apartments, or a manor house.
Yes, much better.
Very vague.
Mansion, way easier. But the places that we've gone to have not been actual castles. But do I still love them dearly? Yes. Do I think that they can call themselves castles if they want to? Again, you do you, boo. But until there's suits of armor and a possible moat in which I can get eaten by piranhas, alligators, or even just death quicksand, it's not a castle.
So, the difference between a castle and a manor house or a mansion was that a castle was fortified for the purpose of defense, while manor houses usually weren't fortified. Both structures were used as homes for medieval lords and were usually surrounded by farmland. So that's the difference. A castle is fortified for the purpose of defense.
Okay.
So whatever that means. You're welcome.
I mean, one of them had peacocks.
You peacock.
You get to a house. How is this? You call yourself a castle? We do,
It was not fortified for defense.
You got the peacocks coming out. They're in suits of armor.
We should just go to castles and then tell the tour guide, this was not fortified for defense.
Russell needs to have a fucking, what is it? A suit of armor mask. He just like slowly puts down the shield on the eyes.
Wow. Your plant is giving me intrusive thoughts and it wants to be in the sun. Not that one, the one that's on the table over there.
Yeah, Bradley put him in new soil, and he's used to having soil that just keeps the water for decades, and that soil's like, and it just dries out, and he's like, water.
It like doesn't know what to do, so it's like it wants to be in the sun now.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I can put him downstairs in the kitchen. I've been thinking about that. I gave him some water. He got a little more turgor pressure inside his little leafy leaves, but he's not happy anymore. Anyways, the next time we go to something that says it's a castle, I'm bringing a suit of armor so that it therefore can be a castle for at least a small.
Because it can be fortified for defense.
What if we just bring vitamin milk? Fortified with A and D.
Make a t-shirt that says fortified for defense. You know?
Making your humble abode a castle in one easy step. For one easy payment of $7.95.
Of the Hill House.
Oh, anyways. I couldn't find a lot on the Hill House that I thought was fun, so I tried to use my bazillion dollars of student college debt to figure out my critical thinking skills of how can I figure out that this place could be haunted and the reasons behind it and why. So I started out with figuring out why the Fizzuck, Mineral, Texas is an important place in the history of the United States, and I found a really cute little story. So this house was built in Mineral Wells, Texas, specifically. Let me go down there. Uno momento, por favor. The current haunted Hill House sits at 501 Northeast 1st Street, Mineral Wells, Texas. According to Realtor.com, it is a single-family home with 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2,840 square feet in total, and the house is situated on a 1.39-acre lot with an estimated current value of $202,000. I really want Uncle Roger to say that. Uncle Roger.
I don't know who that is.
He's this guy who's of Asian descent on the TikToks, and he just talks in the quintessential cliche Asian way.
I don't think I've seen him.
What? So. Okay. Haunted Hill House is at 501 Northeast 1st Street in Mineral Wells, Texas. That's my best impersonation of Uncle Raja. Anyway, I love him. He's a national treasure. He's up there with like Betty White and Dolly Parton. Anyways, if you hear this, Uncle Raja, we could be friends. I'm okay with that. But this house doesn't have a big solidified history that I could find on the internet. So that's why I was like looking at realtor.com, trying to find like past records of people that owned it. Cause usually that's
descriptions of how the house was marketed to people.
Yeah. Cause I was trying to see.
That it was a bed and breakfast.
Yes. But not on realtor.com and not in like back things.
It's just interesting that you found it on realtor.com and it was a bed and breakfast.
It was not nice when I saw it on realtor.com. It
Probably.
looked like it had been
probably
entirely
got abandoned by like some psychopaths that do rituals now.
I mean,
I heard the history from Twin Paranormal.
That was before the bed and breakfast, though.
I know. Wasn't the weird people that did ritual stuff before the bed and breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then the bed and breakfast brought it, and then I couldn't find anything after that.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyways.
Why would you? It's a bed and breakfast.
Well,
it's not on realtor.com anymore.
Well, usually on realtor.com, it'll say like when the house was built. It didn't even say when the house was built. So the best thing
built by ghosts.
The best thing that I could find was built in the 1800s, but there was no exact date that can be found. So anyways, I wanted to figure out why this house could be haunted given the critical thinking skills that college has afforded me of the surrounding area's history itself. So given the area in which this house sits, how could it be therefore related to the hauntings that may or may not happen in it? So
we're going to talk about those weird astrological line things.
No, we're not going to talk about ley lines. We're going to talk about the quick history of mineral wells. And if you like history like I do in story time, then you're going to love it. Yeah.
It was really bad in history class. I got yelled at a lot for taking notes.
I fell asleep in history class though, but I did good. So my teacher
I got
would
screamed
let me
at for
sleep.
taking notes.
I'm sorry.
And I was scared of her, so I just didn't tell her I was taking notes.
You should tell me what her name is, and I'll go beat her up.
And that is definitely not going to happen on a podcast.
Well, you can tell me off podcast, and I'll find who she is and bake her some bad cookies.
No.
I can tell you right now, they're going to be bad because I can't bake. Anyways, history of Mineral Wells, Texas. Around 1887, and the house says it was built pre-Civil War, which is...
something.
Not like 1786 or something. So not 1887. But anyways,
not true.
Around 1887, J.W. Lynch and his family moved to eastern Texas and purchased 80 acres of land. He and his wife suffered from rheumatism and other associated and unassociated ailments. He was too poor to hire someone to dig a well on his property for him and his family to get water, so they ended up going to the nearby Pollard farm, which was about 3 miles away. Eventually, Mr. Lynch dug a 30-foot water well himself and was eventually able to hire a contractor to dig the rest of the well for him with a drill. So around 110 feet. So mind you, this dude dug 30 feet of it by himself with rheumatism and other associated ailments. And then at 110 feet with the help of someone else was able to find water. So their joy of striking water was eventually soon crushed, when they learned that they couldn't drink the water. They couldn't even use it for coffee due to its horribly hellacious poor qualities. Could you imagine, like, you're like, I bought 80 acres of land, moved to Texas to try and make myself feel better, and now
the water's crunchy.
Water is crunchy.
It's got so much iron in it, it's crunchy.
Wow. Yeah, his water was crunchy, so he was upset. I'm upset. So they decided to take the risk and drink the water anyways. Still walking 3 miles one way just to get water from their neighbor's farm.
And that's how the hill had eyes had happened.
Possibly.
Because if you don't know, in the reaction video, Liv was like, there are these 2 guys here that have hills have eyes vibes. You know.
Never watched the movie, but I get it. So eventually, this guy was called Judge Lynch. So he drank this water, and for a short time, his health got severely worse because the crunchy water did not make him feel better. Fearing for his health, because it already wasn't the best, he stopped drinking the well's water, but his family was like, screw it. We've been walking 3 miles one way just to get water. We're going to drink this shit if it kills us. Because we don't care. We got nothing to lose. It's Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Except for the water. Sorry.
Which, according to Em, is crunchy. So in a few
Why it's mineral wells. They got minerals in their wells.
In a few short weeks, his family, who continued to drink the water, became hardy. Hardy.
What?
They just kept drinking the water and they got better. Like, his wife had rheumatism and stuff too, and his kids that were like, I don't feel very good drinking this water. They're like, well, if it kills me, I don't care, Dad. Screw it.
When you drop your food on the ground and you're like, it's good for the immune system.
Yeah, that's me every day.
It makes you hardy.
Hardy.
Jesus.
So in a few short weeks, his family got well and became hardy drinking the water. Because of this, Mr. Lynch decided to try drinking the water once more. Surprisingly, soon he too became well again. He sent word to others he knew that were also unwell, and after drinking his well's water, they too were cured of all of their ailments. Word spread like wildfire, and the town of Mineral Wells, Texas was born. That's the short and curly of it. The long version of it is, at this point in September 1881, only 3 families lived in the area, and after word got out that the well's healing properties were real, a swarm of people started camping in the new town and buying land as soon as October 1st. But by November 1st, there was so much development that had taken place that one of the people that I found, I don't remember his name, but I put the author of the next following recounts is of the Young Mineral Wells, Texas. This guy was a teacher. He had 7 pupils enrolled at his school in the beginning of October 1881, and by the end of the semester, he had 198 children and had to hire 2 extra teachers to assist him. Many hotels sprung up because of this. Everyone's like, I gotta get me some mineral water from Texas. And they were just in camps, like tents, camping.
Dude, people in deserts are weird. Like, you guys got some weird stuff about water in deserts, which makes sense, but also you're drinking some iron water.
Some crunchy water. So because all of these people just started basically camping here, all of the people that started settling there, the more wealthy started having hotels, red light districts, and saloons had started to become built, and a rush of people were not very happy about the red light portion of it. But, you know, it happens. People go there, they're horny, and they want to gamble and drink. So I wanted to talk about a couple of the stories from Mineral Wells, Texas, because this person, this author of I literally found this guy who typed out a little book thingy. He's like, I lived here in 1880 and I saw all this shit happen. He helped on the railroads. He's like, I was the teacher that taught all these people. I sat on the councils. I knew everything that was happening. And it's great. So he talks about some of his firsthand accounts of the water actually helping people. So I wanted to talk about that. One of his first stories is that Mr. W.R. Austin was an older man who lived in the west part of town. He had sore eyes and could scarcely see the ground. He had a horse at home, and this is the cutest part of the story. He had a horse at home that would walk him from his home to Mineral Wells so that this old man could drink the water and rinse his eyes out in it, and then the horse would just take him home. So this dude can't see shit for dick. He just gets on this horse, and this horse, he's like, giddy up, old whistle. And the horse just walks him to this place. He dunks his actual whistle, gets back on the horse, and then just goes back home. Could you imagine having a pony that just has autopilot?
I mean, most ponies do.
I know, but it just makes me happy that this guy can't see shit in his little old,
The horse knows the lesson. He knows what's going on.
It just makes me happy because every like picture that I found of old Texas, everyone's just on like a mule. So it might say horse, but this old guy that can't see anything's probably on this like 12 hand mule. Just going from one place to the next. Anyways, so this man claimed, Mr. W.R. Austin, that after 6 weeks exactly of using the water, he spotted a rabbit 75 yards away on his ride over to the well. So miraculously, after 6 weeks of drinking the mineral wells, Texas water, and like splashing his eye holes with it, he was like, I could spot a hare from a mile away.
Wow.
On his little tiny horse.
He could see you magically.
I could see again!
Because of that iron in the water.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I had a really crunchy water.
Crunchy water.
So there was another one. His name is Mr. J.M. Allen, and he was said to be an old pioneer and invalid who sought out the water. After drinking it, he claimed he became sick. Big story. So his old pioneer was mentally handicapped, and he decided to, go to the water. After drinking it, he claimed it made him really, really sick. So he packed himself and all of his little belongings, and he took to the Millsap Hack. So before the railroad came to Mineral Wells, they just had this hack pony line that would take people from Millsap, Texas to Mineral Wells and the adjoining areas just on horses. They just had a little hack line. Isn't
people
that cute?
In deserts.
I had so much fun reading these, just imagining people on old ass donkeys, like attached one by one like camels or little elephants, just walking to go find some water.
People in deserts. we covered, what was it? Pyramid Lake with Patrick. Mm-hmm. This sounds just like that, just in Texas.
So anyways, he said that the water made him sick, so he packed himself up and took the Millsap Hack out of town. On his way out, he began to feel better, and he was astounded, so much so that he paid his $1 hack fee and got ponied back to Mineral Wells, where it is soon said that he got sound of mind and body, found himself a wife, built a hotel, and ran it with her for 10 years.
People really shouldn't go to deserts. It tells me that we are not biologically supposed to be in deserts.
Probably. This is probably my favorite story because it's a rom-com. It's not really the com part, but it's the romantic part. So a woman was paralyzed from the hips down, and her husband was a train conductor, and he heard of Mineral Wells Springs. So after numerous doctors had failed to help his wife, ultimately telling her that she would never walk again, he decided to make arrangements for her to be brought to Mineral Wells, Texas, in hopes that the water would work wonders for her too. She arrived in town by herself, carried by the hack. Just could you imagine being paralyzed from the waist down and someone just hicks you up over on a horse and is like, there you go, Bessie, we're going to take you into town.
Well, how else are you going to get there?
I don't know. It just would be awkward, especially if it's a little donkey. Just it's interesting to me. So she arrived in town by herself, carried by the hack, and was brought to the Johnson Hotel. Her condition dictated she had to be waited on hand and foot. Since she couldn't go to the numerous Mineral Wells springs and bathhouses that they had themselves, one of the owners by the name of Mr. Austin placed a bathtub in her hotel room and carried water buckets into her room to fill the tub by himself every day. After bathing and drinking the water regularly, before the third week of her stay had passed, she was walking by herself. The day her husband came to see her, she sat in a chair waiting for him. As he opened the door, she stood up and walked across the floor to greet him. It took him several minutes to compose himself for the sheer joy of seeing his lovely wife in her improved state. It shocked him. She moved later to Fort Worth and visited several times in her life, exclaiming that she wanted to see the place that saved her life. Isn't that adorable?
So when are we getting to the Hill House?
I just want to talk about like the stuff that happened around it, you know?
Oh, is this making you haunted?
I mean, it could be. There's a lot of people that were there before this house was built. I'm assuming so many people could have stayed there because I should probably have said this earlier, but the Hill House itself was built in the 1880s, again, but it wasn't exactly known. I saw this, I think it was on the pieces of paper that Twin Paranormal put in their video of like information that they had. The house started as an A-framed built by a man with the last name of Kyle, who before the Civil War took it upon himself to name him some sort of policeman or sheriff of the area and murdered the surrounding Native American people that called where the house lives now their home. So he was like, I'm
he
a
owns
rootin'.
the Hill House? Or
He's
owned it?
Yes.
Mm.
I mean, own is a loose word. When you decide to just take a property and kill the Native American people that are living on it and then call it your own, I don't know if you really own it.
Well, if he built the house, technically he owns the house.
I guess so.
Just doesn't own the property in which the house has been erected.
I mean, he sounds like a duty head extraordinaire
Obviously,
to me.
we already talked about the weird people that were in this house.
So that was the first guy. He erected the A-frame portion of the house before the Civil War after murdering Native American people. Later, this dubbed the house to be named the Kyle House. Before it was the Hill House, the Haunted Hill House. It was called the Kyle House. So after he built the A-frame portion as a sort of like policeman, lookout, rootin' tootin' duty head espionage lair, the building was later used as a makeshift hospital during the Civil War and eventually added onto and occupied the two men that are named Curly and Lester. The home is said to have direct ties to the Baker Hotel, which was that big giant hotel that you see at the beginning of the video.
Mm-hmm.
And it opened in 1929. So the house was once a brothel that supplied women for people at the hotel and bootlegged items to the hotel as well. Do you know when Prohibition happened?
No.
I think
I was
it was
bad
like,
at history, remember?
I have to look it up. Because I don't know why you'd have to bootleg things. Okay, so Prohibition was ratified on January 16th, 1919. So it went dry on 1920. So I don't know, when did Prohibition end? So it wasn't until 10 years later in the 30s, 1933, that the 21st Amendment was ratified and the 18th Amendment, yeah. So in 1933, Prohibition was ixnayed, but it went into effect in 1919. So if the hotel was built in 1929, then it only had like 4 years of bootlegging, technically. I don't know. It just like bothers me that the only thing that this house is said to be tied to is the Baker Hotel, which apparently was like the coolest of the coolest hotels during its day. I mean, it had an Olympic-sized swimming pool right when you walked in the front doors because Mineral Wells, they're like, I gotta wash my body into crunchy water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's weird to me.
But it makes sense because we were talking to souls that were probably a part of the brothel.
Mm-hmm. So this town, after it got set up and all of these people were like, we're going to go dunk our whistle in the trough at the Mineral Wells, it had struggles. The town, again, like I said, had a lot of red light districts or red light areas that opened up, as well as brothels. And I mean, that's what red light means, but the bars and things and the people that were there weren't super happy about it. But it wasn't until almost close to the 1900s that the town was actually incorporated. So it wasn't until 1882 that the town was legally incorporated as Mineral Wells, Texas, in the United States. And it wasn't until 1920 that the U.S. Census visited and was like, how many people are you? So, but during that time, this dude named Kyle built an A-frame house, killed lots of indigenous people because he's a duty head. And there was brothels and bootlegging and red light districts and this hotel that was built and all of these things happening, and this Hill House was just right there happening, doing its thing.
That sounds like an uncool thing. That's probably why it's haunted.
Probably why. There was a drought from 1886 to 1888 that like a lot
people in deserts. You're in Texas. They ain't got no crunchy water during that time.
No, they didn't have crunchy water. Like a whole bunch of things died at one point. There was a little bit of rain in like 1886, 1887. And what they used to keep the livestock alive was the leaves that were still crunchy on the trees. They just shucked all the leaves off of the trees and fed them to their cows.
People in deserts.
It's an interesting thing. So anyways, let's talk about the Hill House itself, since now you guys kind of know a little bit about the hotel that was around it. I think the hotel was 450 rooms. It was like the biggest hotel in the United States at the time. It had the swimming pool. Lots of people stayed there. It was alleged that the infamous couple, Bonnie and Clyde, stayed there a couple times. Judy Garland, I think, stayed there. And then other people that even I don't know. So... Anyways, the Haunted Hill House is known for these scary things. According to the people that own it right now, it is known for, I didn't know this was a word, but AVPs. Do you know what that means?
No.
We got your EVPs, and then they got your AVPs. Your AVPs are audible voice phenomenons, whereas EVPs are electronic voice phenomenons. All right, when we were at the Wilson Castle, when we heard, my baby, that's an AVP.
What, because we heard it?
Yeah. An AVP is only when the voice recorder hears it, but no one else does.
Question.
Possible
Does
answer.
it matter that we're psychic mediums?
I assume no, because if you hear it audibly in a group of people. Okay. At the, what is it? So the Madison Seminary?
That was the last place we went to.
Fairfield Infirmary.
It's the middle place we went to.
Is that the one that had the morgue?
Yeah.
Okay, Fairfield Infirmary. That weird place in the morgue where you can hear everybody because of the water?
Yeah.
AVP.
Weird.
Yeah. Got it?
Yeah. You also have no idea what we're talking about because that podcast is not going to come out for a while.
But that's okay. You'll be able to watch the video, and then you too can understand what we're talking about. No, we were at this place okay, so you know Em and I are psychic mediums, and if you don't...
What?
Surprise!
You should probably watch the rest of our content if you don't know that.
And we usually hear things clairaudiently, which is audibly, but it's metaphysical, so it's different for people that don't understand or don't perceive clairaudient information. But when we were at the Fairfield Infirmary during our investigation, if you go in the morgue, which is, in my opinion, the least scary place of the entire joint, there is a spring that runs under the morgue. And if you stand in the backhand corner of the room in between the two doors for the other opening portions of the ice box that is the place that you're standing in, you can hear people through the adjacent doorway that leads to the reception desk area and hear clear, audible fucking talking of people having conversations. And you don't have to be a psychic medium to hear it.
Yeah, and there was a soul in there that was talking about how that's possible.
Yeah.
And I have synesthesia, so I can see sounds. And they showed me the voices of the souls talking and how they were usually at a higher frequency, which is why people can't normally hear them.
Like a dog whistle.
Yeah. But the sound of the spring that goes underneath the building is at a lower pitch, which is why it is audible for humans to hear. So if the voices of the souls get put into this sound of the spring, it makes it low enough so that you can hear it. So it's kind of like putting a glass against a door. You're able to change the frequencies so that you're able to hear it better.
Mm-hmm. We were like in the magic conch shell of the entire place.
Yeah.
And it was wild. So that's like an AVP. EVP again is like if you're using your voice recorder and you like ask some questions and then play it back and then you're like, oh, I heard something now on the voice recorder. So this place is renowned, according to the owners, for both AVP activity and EVP activity. Only 50% of all visitors who rent the home for the night for paranormal investigations are able to make it through the night, according to the owners. And the most haunted portion of the home is the upstairs, said to be haunted by an inhuman entity named Toby.
Well, I guess that's true because Twin Paranormal left after that dude got scratched.
Oh, they didn't make it through the night, did they?
Technically, they left after he got scratched. I don't know how long that was.
Put some bacitracin on it. Call it an A.
Jesus.
I need some, if that does happen, though, I'm just telling you, we need to be prepared. I need to have unicorn sparkle Band-Aids. It's the only way
if you
I'm
get
staying.
Scratched by a demon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need unicorn Band-Aids. That's all I'm asking. And some,
okay.
pain-relieving Neosporin.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Jesus.
So the owner, the current owner, Kathy, no longer goes upstairs because of this entity named Toby.
Mm-hmm.
We need a dun-dun button.
Dun-dun.
So, in the 1930s, this place that was originally built by a dude named Kyle owned it, and their names were Curly and Lester. So, before it was called the Haunted Hill House, it was called the Kyle House, and is said to have been related very closely to the Baker Hotel, which is literally within an eye shot of the front porch. Later in the 1970s, after Curly and Lester vacated the premises, and possibly with things happening in between it, but I couldn't find anything, A family called the Montgomerys bought the home, and apparently, according to Twin Paranormal, they had practiced satanic worship, summoning of demons, and voodoo, which I find to be a interesting, specific thing to
Well, they probably weren't doing
allege someone.
voodoo. They were probably just doing demonic rituals.
Yeah. Well, there's a big thing on the internet about, like, you can't say voodoo or hoodoo because it's not usually
because people
correct.
don't know what it is.
Yes, exactly.
They think it's like a part of the weird satanic rituals, and it's not. It's an ethnic
Religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very different.
But I'm just saying, I am quoting or going off of the information from Twin Paranormal's eloquent beginning of their video.
Yeah, it's probably just demonic rituals. You know, the usual.
Sounds about
Casual.
right. Casual. And then this guy named Phil bought the home after the Montgomerys just, I guess, up and vanished. They pulled him, Jeff the mongoose, and vanished. And then Phil was like, this seems like a great place for a B&B. But it was too haunted. So he was like, oh, drats.
Wow.
My beautiful Airbnb type thing is gone. Foiled.
Bed and
Foiled it.
breakfast.
Foiled it. Sorry. Anyways, let's get into the hauntings, shall we?
I'm ready.
What is it? I'm ready. Vacation. What is it? You don't remember?
I don't know.
Okay. So some of these are contradictory of themselves, depending on the source that I found it from, and I talk about the sources when they contradict. So, one room is reportedly haunted by a spirit named Dr. Jaeger. One night, a guest was lying on the bed in the room and began taunting Mr. Jaeger, or Dr. Jaeger, I guess. Suddenly, something yanked her off the bed. The incident was captured on one of the Estes' numerous security cameras, so I should also preface that the couple that bought the home are Kathleen or Kathy, and depending on the source, they say her husband's name is Sonny or Eddie Estes.
Interesting.
So
might be both.
Yeah, because I feel like Sonny's a nickname, but I thought it was short for
name Sonny.
I did too. He was my favorite.
He's a very chill dude.
What is Sunny short for? I thought it was Sunny for short for like sunward. So
Sunward is a name?
No, it's not. I'm being funny.
I'm too autistic for that shit.
Anyways, depending on what his name is, it's the source. So 1 year later, the same woman who was yanked off the bed after taunting Dr. Jaeger returned to the Hill House, only to be paranormally scratched so badly that blood seeped through her shirt. I mean, if you were a duty head the first time, why would you come back and do it again?
Because it's more fun when no one can see you.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean?
Oh, you mean the duty head as in like the guy that scratched her or the entity that scratched her. I was saying she was a duty head because she was egging on a spirit.
I thought you were talking about the duty head that like did demonic rituals and then came back as a duty head.
No. I mean, if you're someone that's egging on a spirit.
Duh. I want to come back and haunt people.
I mean, if you're egging on a spirit, you're going to be the duty head. But again, this is just what the internet
he's
said.
also a duty head. So
Well,
who's the duty head?
She was being mean to him, so he pushed her or yanked her, depending on how you
So
want to
hard
look
that
at
she
it.
bled through her shirt.
Well, that's the second time. She came back for seconds,
okay.
and she got just desserts.
I don't know which one you want.
Ha! That one. I want that one. Sorry. I mean, if the woman who was in the video on the show, because I assume that's the one, because they said that it tries to get like stolen a lot or whatever, that video, because the Esteses have cameras all in the house, like in every single room, so they caught it on camera, and everyone's like, oh, she got yanked out of the bed. If you hear this, maybe you weren't being a duty head. Maybe you were just minding your own business.
Got pulled out of the bed?
As far as I can understand, yes, that is the one that is on the video. And it says that she was, one source says that she was egging on a soul or a spirit named Dr. Jaeger. And that is what happened. And then a year later, she came back and then she got scratched.
Well, who do you think as a medium pulled her off the bed?
Well, I remember when we were doing the reaction video, we thought I was a woman. And
Do you
she
think
said
there's
something
two
mean
different
about
people
it.
doing it?
Possibly.
Because I think you're right in saying the woman pulled her off the bed.
Mm-hmm.
But I think someone else scratched her. She came back the second time.
Well, this is where it's weird, because that one says that the woman was taunting a Dr. Yeager in a room. And then there's another recount where it says, moving furniture, disembodied voices, apparitions, and even physical incidents all happen in the house. And reportedly, most of these incidences happen in a room called Jacob's room. And I'll get to Jacob in a second. But it says that there's a video, and this is a quote from Kathy, I believe, the owner. There's a video that everyone is wanting to share on all the ghost shows. People are even sharing it illegally, where a girl gets yanked off the bed. Catherine said, she was in here provoking, saying, I am a woman. What are you going to do to me? And then she gets pulled hard. A guy comes in an hour later and says, oh, you want to mess with women? And it pushes him into two girls, and then it slammed the door. She also said, I was in there and I woke up with my hair tied to the bed. People have had crazy experiences in, quote, Jacob's room. So this confuses me because the other source says that it insinuates that this incident happened when the woman was taunting Dr. Yeager. Then it says that she was talking about being a woman, which lines up a little bit more about what I was saying and you were saying in the video during our reaction. So I don't know. Is it Jacob's room? Is it Dr. Yeager's room? Is it someone else's room? Is it not anybody's room?
Well, who's Jacob?
So we will get to Jacob.
Is Jacob supposed to be a little boy? Because that's what I thought when they were talking about him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So according to one of the town's elderly, he just went to the house after Catherine and Eddie, or Sonny. What did I call him? Sunward? Sorry.
Sunward.
Bought it and told them that the hollowed out log out back with a cross etched in it is the marker for the death of an 8-year-old boy named Jacob Henry Kyle, who was hanged from a tree in the 1940s. He said the boy was born to one of the working women of the home, and he used to play this man who came to this house and told Catherine and Eddie of his own free will that he used to play at the house when he was a child and knew what had happened to the boy, but that he had never experienced any paranormal activity there.
So Jacob's the one that got hanged?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Dark hair.
I think so.
Okay.
That's what I thought when we were watching the video too.
Yeah, that's what I see for him.
But I also find it interesting that his last name is Kyle, supposedly, because the first guy that owned the house was named Kyle. Like the guy that built the 8-frame and murdered Native Americans and was like, I'm the sheriff of this town.
Are you sure his last name is Kyle?
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, I'm not sure. It's what I saw on the picture of the notes that Twin Paranormal had.
I don't know then.
So, and this was in the 1940s, but the Kyle dude that built the 8-frame was like Civil War 1800s, 1880s. So I don't think he'd be there in the 1940s.
I don't know. I feel like the soul's telling me his last name wasn't Kyle, but I could be wrong.
Okay, that's fine. So anyways, I just thought that was interesting. So the Estises became interested in the house when the asking price on the market went from $180,000 to $80,000. And one of their very first visits, or during their first visit to the house, the current owner, Kathy, said that they watched a green silhouette of a little boy go up the stairs, a ball bouncing, and numerous voices that they heard. So they saw a boy walk up the stairs in a green silhouette, Ghostbuster style, a random ball just bouncing, because there was a comma. Because I was like, wait, was the boy bouncing a ball up the stairs? No, it is just a ball bouncing. Woohoo! Wow! And they heard numerous AVPs. So that's fun. So after the couple purchased the house, they began working on the fireplace, and they noticed that there was a fake brick wall with dirt in between it. They were curious about its fabrication in general, but also because apparently this outlaw named Sam Bass, it's reported that his gold is supposedly hidden at the home. Could not find anything on Sam Bass or his relation to the home. So maybe it's just like a Texas secret, like Kentucky Fried Chicken, like the 7 spices are a secret.
Or the hallucinations surrounding water.
That's
probably not nice to say, but also just desert lakes. There's always these crazy stories of like sirens and stuff like that.
Anybody from Texas, I'm sorry.
It's just like old wives' tales.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, so apparently there is the speculation that outlaw Sam Bass's gold was supposedly hidden at the home, but instead of finding gold, they found an old burnt newspaper with their last name legible in its print.
So they say that this brick wall is fake.
Yeah, it's like an illusion.
And they didn't look behind it.
No, they did.
And what's behind it?
A burnt
Nothing?
piece of newspaper that has their last name printed on it.
Okay.
And their last name is
so
Estes.
It a hidden room?
It didn't say. It just said there was a fake wall in the fireplace.
They just, plastered a piece of newspaper and then put bricks over it?
They put dirt,
Uh-huh.
a burnt piece of a newspaper, and then bricks over that. And then there was the fireplace.
That's how I'm going to build the house.
What are you going to put in there? What burnt piece of information?
I don't know. My parents got rid of their bar and there was like a whole ass wrench in there inside the wall.
Is that like when we were doing, what was it? There was we were reacting to some video.
Uh-huh.
And it was like a pistol was found underneath the remains of the whatever. And I was like, that's a dude. He's like, man, I lost that 6-shooter. It was great.
Yeah, you accidentally put it in the wall while you're drywalling and it's lost forever. Like, where the heck did I put that thing?
Yeah, and the only thing I could think of is any rational reason that the name Estes would be on a newspaper during the time is the Stanley Hotel was also built around the time this house was created. And
is it near the Stanley Hotel?
Well, the Stanley Hotel's in Colorado, so it's not necessarily near it.
That's what I'm saying.
But if you're reading a newspaper, though, about the Stanley Hotel, around the same time, I feel like the explosion of the Stanley Hotel might have happened if you look at the date on the newspaper, and they might have been talking about Estes, Colorado.
I'm still confused. Why is there a newspaper plastered to some bricks?
I'm just trying to figure out why the word Estes would be in there. And Estes, Colorado could be historically relevant to the time frame in which the newspaper was printed, burned, and put in a random wall.
Or it was the ghost that did it.
That's what they say.
Really?
They're like, since our last name was on the newspaper, we were meant to have this house.
Dude, that's what I'm going to do as a ghost. I don't know how I'm going to do that because that seems very physical, but sounds really funny.
Well, if time is an illusion, it already has happened, hasn't happened, and will happen, you should just know.
No, we should just get Airbnbs and we just hide rooms and stuff in it.
Davy Jones' locker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
People would destroy our Airbnb trying to find it.
But that's the fun part.
Is it?
Yeah, it should be easily destroyable, though. Like those little fun things that you go to the zoo or whatever, and it's like the sandboxes where the children can discover dinosaur eggs.
How is that even remotely similar?
I mean, we're just workshopping it, right? Anyways. So, after the couple had purchased the house, they found that legible old burnt newspaper with their name written on it, last name. It's interesting. There's also apparently another child named Joshua who haunts the rooms of the home. And they said, the owners, when we do tours, we try to split the men and the women because when the women are by themselves, the children aren't so afraid. This is quoted from Eddie, a.k.a.
Wait,
Sonny.
What? Say that again?
When we do tours, we try to split the men and women up because when the women are by themselves, the children aren't so afraid.
Like the children in the house?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like the
I was like,
children
what are you talking about?
The children of the working women.
The spirit children.
Yes.
Okay. Makes sense.
And he said that they've gotten EVPs on their cameras coming up saying, look, we have new mommies. So I'm sure that all the ladies helped to watch the kids while one was making money.
Got you. So
I do not just have sarcastically obnoxious things to say about the owners and the history. So in 2017, that is when Kathy Estes and her husband Sonny and or Eddie or Sunward bought.
Just kidding. We still had one more.
Bought the house. And I put things I personally respect from the owners. The renovations are great of the house. Like when you watch the Twin Paranormal video, it looks phenomenal because when I looked at the place on realtor.com,
trashed.
It had not been maintained nor loved in years. And that was in 2017. So they put a lot of like TLC into it. And as somebody that's gone to like...
They have issues with that?
What do you mean with renovations?
Well, when you have renovations in a very actively haunted house, it stirs the energy up.
Possibly. I feel like they tried to do renovations in like a very...
There's a man saying that when you do renovations, it gives you the physical energy in order for spirits to do physical things.
Makes sense.
So,
I mean, the one family, who were they?
is there a nice man in the house?
Possibly. There's usually always one nice
I'm talking
one.
to some old dude with a mustache. He's got white hair.
Is his name Dirty Dan?
And he's got like a striped shirt on. Or like a plaid shirt.
That's cute.
Some glasses.
Oh,
some like big ass glasses.
So he's from the 70s?
Probably.
The Montgomerys are the ones that just up and left after doing satanic worship and the summoning of demons. They just left, and then that's when Paul bought it. Or not Paul, Phil. Phil bought it in like the 1990s maybe. I don't know. Because
that's the same dude.
The Montgomerys lived there in the 70s.
Because this man talks about, what's his name? Paul?
Phil,
sorry.
like Dr. Phil.
Is similar to the dude, because now they're telling me about that 70s show, because you said 70s. Is like Donna's dad. Like that sort of energy.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why he was so scared.
Mm.
Because he's just has an innocence to him.
Mm.
Like
Makes sense.
Bob that lives next door in that 70s show.
Yeah. Well, whether the Montgomerys are the ones that left it in, just like, I mean, if you just go on realtor.com, you can find it. It is not good, the inside of the house.
The Montgomerys are the ones that had the bed and breakfast? Or
No,
before that?
the satanic rituals.
Oh, gotcha.
Phil had the bed and breakfast, or wanted to.
And the Montgomerys, were they a family, or was it just those two dudes?
No, the two dudes, Curly and Lester, were before the Montgomerys. Okay, so it goes Kyle, the rootin' tootin' shout cowboy that kills people. Then it goes Curly and Lester, who were bootleg and prostitute and murderous weirdos.
Okay.
And then it goes the Montgomerys, who were the satanic summoning demon people that up and left. And then there's Phil. And then there's Phil with the bed and breakfast that didn't work.
I don't know then. I feel like he's a Montgomery, but that sounds like a lot. Was it a family?
Well, you also got to think about the 1970s was the satanic panic. So
that would normally
they might have just
tell
like
them not to do that.
Well, they might have just like Harry Potter books.
Oh. Okay.
So, or they could have been like,
dude. Is that like the family that I was seeing when we were doing stuff? Like when we were reacting.
Oh yeah, because
you
said that you saw a nice family, and I'm the one that saw Curly and Lester.
Yeah, because that's why I'm like, is there a family? Is there a family? Because this dude looks like one of those people that would be in the family.
Well, maybe there's a family before or after the Montgomerys, and nobody knows about them because you
who's
can't
the Montgomerys?
They're the satanic worshipers, according to the internet.
People. What are they? They're the ladies, a dude,
the 70s,
children's.
They have nobody, and I couldn't find anything.
They're just Montgomerys.
I found more on the
so
bank.
there is more than one.
I found more on the bank. I guess so.
Okay.
Well, the Montgomerys is like the Weavers. I don't know
what that means.
I don't know. I don't know. Plural. I assume it's plural.
Yeah.
There's not a lot. I tried to find the house records. It was hard for me. I'm not a sleuth.
I feel like he's a Montgomery. I don't know what that means, but I think he's a Montgomery.
Okay. I mean, that could 100% track because we have nothing.
And I feel like he has a wife with brown hair, and they may have had a child, but I don't know.
Sounds good. I have nothing, so that could be so valid. It's ridiculous.
I thought that the two dudes did the satanic rituals.
According to the Twin Paranormal, it was the Montgomerys that did it. But I'm sure Curly and Lester could have done some shitty stuff too. I mean, they did. One of them got shot in the face by some woman of the night in the bathroom. So, talks to their character.
Interesting. This dude, Lester and Curly, says he didn't need to.
Who didn't need to? Do satanic shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's just like showing me his hands dripping in blood, and I'm like, oh.
Gross. Yeah. I'm glad my dog can sleep through this. I've been feeling like a man's been standing next to me for like 20 minutes. I'm
Which man?
Casually ignoring it. I don't know.
Does he have brown hair?
I don't know. I'm casually ignoring it because it scares me.
Let's look at where we're at. You're a medium. Talk to him. Is he scared, dude?
We're in my room
with
my sassy plants and my dog who is literally wheels up snoring.
Talk to the dude. You're a medium. This is a medium podcast.
I feel like he's the scary Lester guy.
Lester?
Because I thought...
Which one's the tall dude and which one's the short dude? I think
Lester's the tall one and Curly's the short one. But do I have any actual validation of that? Historically? Fuck no. Anybody can find better records of this than me, go for it. Because I can't. I could not. I'm also sleep deprived and did a lot of investigations. And this is the peak of my research. Are you talking to him?
I'm trying to.
Okay.
You talk to him easier because he's very masculine.
He's very scary. That's why I don't want to talk to him. I already had a scary encounter with a scary man. Don't need another one, especially in my house.
Well, he says that he just likes to talk about gory stuff.
And I don't. No, thank you. What else did I have to say? Oh, I was talking about why I like the Estises, the current owners. So the fact that they actually put a lot of work into restoring the house makes me happy because I feel like a lot of places that you go to that are haunted places, everybody's just like, come annoy the spirits and be obnoxious, and we're not gonna like restore anything or even try to like just vacuum the floor so it's nicer. Like, just nothing. And it makes me really angry because like you should have like a certain level of respect for the souls that you're allowing people to come see in their home. So like you should take care of it. So the fact that they do makes me very happy. It's a very admirable thing. The other thing is the owners feel that the spirits get overwhelmed and tired from so many people wanting to interact with them. So they have set days during the week that they close the entire place down to any guests. Could you imagine, like, okay, they say that you only get rest when you're dead. They do. They have fucking off days. They have days where, like, you know, it's God's day. It's Sunday. You can't come investigate here.
Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays.
And so is the Hill House. Is that accurate? I don't know. I didn't look at their schedule. But the fact that they have days where the place is closed because they're like, our spirits don't need to be hassled or heckled by you today. They need a break.
Like, is it that busy, dude?
I guess so, because
the
spirits get angry, so they have days where it's closed and no one can go there. And I feel like that is an absolutely lovely thing to do, and I 100% ship it.
Whoa.
By eliminating stigma and embracing harm reduction programs like lay responder naloxone access, we can stand together and save lives. In just 1 year, Indiana lost an estimated 2,051 Hoosiers to opioid overdose. But these deaths could have been avoided by quickly administering naloxone. To receive training and a free naloxone kit, reach out to Ship Happens at harm-lessindiana.org. It's completely confidential, so please contact Ship Happens at harm-lessindiana.org.
Did you like my dissertation on everything around the Hill House?
It was interesting.
Yeah, I really tried. I mean, people went there first because some guy had rheumatism and drank water that was crunchy and got sick and then was like, everyone else is doing, I'm just going to keep doing it. And then he got better. And then a whole bunch of other people dug wells and were like, yee howdy, these wells are great. And then a whole bunch of people got there. They started camping. They started making towns. It became a town. Then there was brothels and there was hotels and then there was bootlegging. Then there was droughts and trains and the lack of trains and hack people on ponies everywhere.
And there's a dude that scratches people in the Hill House.
There is a Navy base. I think it's Fort Walter or Waltmer, something like that. And like during World War I, which brought a lot of business to the hotel and the surrounding areas. And if this Hill House place was supplying prostitutes to the hotel, you know, that's a fun time for somebody, maybe.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. That's a better way to say that. And during Prohibition, again, another choice.
Yeah.
So you can only imagine what type of things were going on.
Too much iron in the water.
Crunchy.
Too many minerals in the wells.
What if you just hit the water and it was like Perrier, just bubbly mineral water, and everyone's like, wee wee.
I don't know.
I also think Perrier is Italian, not French, but whatever.
Jesus.
Anyways, did you like our dissertation? If not, don't tell us because I'll cry. We'd like to thank our patrons and all of our lovely sidekicks that support our videos as well as our podcasts. And I hope I've been hearing Em talk this whole time. Em, say something. We forgot to check that.
Something.
I think it worked. Good enough for me. What else do we have to say? Yeah, you want to talk about this stuff with other fun people that are like us and us? You should join our Patreon.
We also
Until
have
then.
a lovely dad joke.
Do we?
So Liv can tell you about the dad joke things while I find it.
Oh, if you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that would be phantasmagorical because that helps us rank and search and help other people find us. Also, if anybody knows anything about Two Girls, One Ghost, I heard that they were talking schmack about us from someone else, and we just need to connect with them, I guess.
We need to know what episode they were talking schmack in so that
we can listen to it.
Talk to them. Because they got a lot of episodes. I've been trying to listen to them, but I can't find it.
Yeah. So if you guys know Two Girls, One Ghost, or the episode in which they talk schmack about us, please let us know, because that would be great. We would love to talk schmack to their face about them, and it would be fun because we might have pizza involved, at least on one side or another. But if you could leave an Apple Podcast review, that would be great. Figure out where Two Girls, One Ghost talked about us, and leave a dad joke in your Apple review, or just something funny that you thought was interesting that we were talking about. Did anyone else just see a bat fly through this room?
No, you mean the fly that just flew past your face?
Oh, okay, as long as it's a fly. We've been ghost hunting for too long. There
was
was
a bat.
one bat, and it didn't even fly at us
wasn't
this
moving.
time. It was really cute, honestly, and I had a hat, so I was prepared. Okay, I'm ready for your dad joke.
Okay. Do you want to hear a pizza joke?
I would like to eat pizza.
No, it's too cheesy.
Now I'm kind of
That's it.
sad because I want pizza too. You want to get cheesy bread?
Are we ordering pizza?
Yes.
Because I would be about that too.
Okay, great. We are your meta sidekicks.
Wow. I've just started adding the dad jokes to our project manager, and there's 2 completed sections. You're welcome. Have a nice day.